When I first met my husband, I never imagined we'd end up here. For anonymity, I won't go into details about his work. But he developed something big in it. It's well known in his field, and it made him incredibly wealthy. I, on the other hand, am a chef. I make maybe 1/100th of what he does, but that has never mattered to me. I've always loved my work. Cooking has been my passion for nearly 20 years, and I've been proud of the career I built with my own hands. Together, we built what I thought was a happy life. 3 years ago, we had our first child, a beautiful baby girl. And just 9 months ago, we welcomed twin boys. Suddenly our house was noisy and chaotic, but it was also full of love. I'm still on maternity leave, and at first I thought everything was going smoothly. But then the world began shutting down again with the Omicron variant, and a worry crept into my mind. What if my workplace didn't take me back? I mentioned this to my husband one evening. His response surprised me. He shrugged and said, "It's not like we need the money." I was confused, even hurt. I told him I knew that. It wasn't about money. It was about my work, my independence, my identity. But he just shrugged again, like it wasn't important. I couldn't shake the feeling, so the next day, I brought it up again. This time, he looked at me like he didn't understand why I was so insistent. He said I should be happy that I could spend more time with our babies. He pointed out how often I'd be working evenings and weekends, and how much he disliked me coming home late at night. I explained that I loved my job, that I was good at it, that I'd been doing it my whole adult life. The thought of giving it up made me feel like I was suffocating. That was when his expression hardened. He told me I was choosing my job over him and our children. And then he said the words I never expected to hear. That I needed to choose between being a housewife or being a family. It was an ultimatum. I went to my mother's house the next morning, still in shock. I poured out the whole story, crying as I explained how betrayed I felt. But instead of rallying to my side, she went quiet. Then she told me to think carefully. She reminded me that if I divorced him, he could give the children a life I never could on my own. She said I should consider whether it was worth changing their lives so drastically just to keep working. Hearing her say that shook me. She had always raised me to be independent, to stand on my own 2 feet. And now, here she was suggesting I give it all up. For the first time, I wondered if maybe I was overreacting. Maybe this wasn't so unreasonable. But then again, why did it feel like my heart was stuck in my throat? Why did it feel like he was using the power his wealth gave him to control me? The days that followed were filled with tension. We argued, we cried, we went in circles. I told him I could look for a job with better hours, maybe even open my own lunch spot in the city, so I wouldn't have to work nights. But he dismissed the idea. He kept insisting that I should just stay home, that he could pay me 10 times what I earned if I wanted financial independence. He accused me of being intimidated by his success. The more we talked, the more it became clear. He didn't want a compromise. He wanted me to quit my career entirely. And no matter how I tried to explain that it wasn't about money, that it was about who I am, he wouldn't hear it. Weeks passed and we barely spoke. We weren't intimate. It felt like we were living in the same house but on different planets. I suggested counseling, desperate for a way forward, but he brushed it off. Eventually, one night, he finally opened up. He said the happiest months of his life were the ones where he came home to find me there with the children. He thought that if I truly loved our family, I'd feel the same way. I told him I did love being with them. But I loved it precisely because I knew it wasn't forever. Maternity leave has an end, and I needed that end to come. I needed to go back to being myself. He didn't accept that. He accused me of being selfish, of not caring about his wishes, and then, finally, he left. He packed up and moved to our city apartment. Just like that, our marriage cracked apart. I was devastated. I kept asking myself if I'd ruined everything, if I'd really chosen work over love. But deep down I knew it wasn't that simple. This wasn't just about me being a chef. It was about him needing control, about him making demands I could never make of him. He would never let me tell him to quit his work, so why should I be forced to quit mine? Eventually, the truth came out. He admitted there were deeper resentments, things about me that he couldn't accept, things he once loved but had grown to dislike, things I couldn't and wouldn't change. That was when I realized we weren't just arguing about my job. We were fundamentally incompatible. So we made the hardest decision of all. We're separating. I still love him. I probably always will. But love isn't enough when it comes with ultimatums. I'll stay in the house for now, and when the time comes, we'll share custody of the children. My boss has promised to help me find hours that fit with my custody schedule. And someday, I'll chase my dream of opening my own restaurant. It hurts like nothing else I've ever experienced. I thought he and I were inseparable. But when he started resenting the very things that made me who I am, I knew there was no way back. This isn't the ending I wanted, but it's the reality I have to face. And all I can do now is move forward. For myself, and for my children.